irrelevant. On what basis then did you authorize paragraph 6 of the summons?
I don't have an explanation for you, Chair. Not from just my reading of it. And exactly what I say is, and I really don't want to frustrate you and be going in circles. That's not my... Sorry.
I will let you answer and say everything you want to say. I just want to say, I assure you I'm not going to be frustrated. Please go ahead.
Thank you. It's just, for me, sometimes it is the context that triggers why I did something. I'm reading it as I read it.
Yes.
And as irritating as it may be, I do need the context of what was discussed between Mr. Perumal and I. In the absence thereof, I have no explanation for you, Chair, given that I have indicated that we had no investigation against the PKTT.
Yeah, based on the discussion that you and I have just had, do you think that context could ever change the picture? Because you say you've agreed with me that whatever briefing you might have been given would have been irrelevant to what was being investigated for the simple reason that you were not investigating the PKTT. So I do not understand how context, as you put it, could have been relevant to the question as to why you authorized paragraph 6. If the briefing could not be relevant, how could this context be relevant? Or let me ask it this way, maybe we will go quicker that way.
Sorry.
Just like the briefing would have been irrelevant, something you've agreed to, I suggest to you that the context as well would have been irrelevant. Do you agree? Surely you must.
I agree. I can't take this point any further. I'm not going to get to a reasonable explanation for this.
Yes. So that, in a sense, ties in with Kumalo's, I'm very sorry, with Commissioner Kumalo's point that isn't what is behind all of this some inarticulate premise that we have not been told about? Isn't that the real explanation? Send it. Do you want to please respond?
I didn't even see him accept your apology, Chair. No, I took the point. I took the point.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Are you, before you leave this annexure, I wanted to deal with the Public Service Commission report of August 2023. If you're going to deal with it, I'm going to shut up.
I'm just going to make comments regarding the PKTT, but we are still in that annexure. By the annexure, we're talking Section 28 summons.
They are all part of...
and the responses there too.
They are part of CJC 3922.
Yes, which would have been the documents received pursuant to that summons.
Yes.
Yes.
So then let me leave it and then...
No, I'm still on PKTT yes. For now. As soon as, and when I'm done, then perhaps, Commissioner, you may...
But if you're going to deal with it,
no, I wasn't. My time pressure. My issue is, and having listened to your interaction with the commissioners, this is where we land. You, the person who authorized this Section 28, have absolutely no recollection why it is you authorized investigations into the PKTT and how its members are appointed and the like. You suggest that it's Mr. Perumal who would have told you. Once again, I ask you, when should Mr. Perumal be sitting where you are and be confronted with the same question, and he says, I have absolutely no recollection? What do you suggest the commissioners make of all this? Both of you, the only people who were in that conversation that can explain away paragraph 6, say you both don't have a recollection. And if that is the case, your discussing it amongst yourselves become irrelevant because neither can remind the other. Where do we land?
Or worse still, Advocate Johnson, he doesn't say he has no recollection, but he says, I never said, but he says, I never said anything about this. Please.
Indeed, thank you, Chair. That's the question. Please guide the Commission as to what it must make of the investigation into the PKTT and how it came about, and the basis thereof.
So commissioners only work on the basis of what I get from the rest of the team, which is he compiled this. So for him to then indicate he has no idea, I do not see how he's going to be able to indicate he has no idea. But if we both don't have an idea, I think then Commissioner's going to have to make a referral for some kind of treatment at a facility, because all of us can't be sitting here. And
for both of you, or just him?
No, so on a lighter note, I have to take it from where it comes, Commissioner. His fellow investigator says he's compiled this. And so he'd have to give an explanation. Whether or not it is one that is accepted is a different story, Commissioners and Council, but there is no way that he won't have an explanation for this.
Please make me understand, why does he bear the full responsibility to remember what your conversation was about? The conversation was between the two of you, but you don't bear that responsibility. It is enough for you to say, I don't remember. Why does he assume the full responsibility for that conversation?
Not because I don't bear the responsibility, it's because I have many conversations on many matters. And so the investigators invariably would engage. Either they would have kept notes, and or because it is their matter, it is easier for them to engage me. We engage as we do, and then I'm able to, in their presence, having had that engagement, sign the Section 28. So I'm not running away from having a responsibility. It's the number of things they present versus what I have to deal with.
Let me take it a step forward. And if he were to come here, we are now in the arena of conjecture, accept. If he were to come here and say, now I do recall that the ID and I had a full engagement on it, and I explained why it is necessary to obtain those documents from PKTT. If that were to be the answer, what do you want the commissioners to make of that? Do you suggest that the commissioners should reject it? And I suggest that, in turn, that you cannot, because you don't remember what the conversation was about. Or, so what do you... You are head of a very powerful institution, and I personally can learn a lot from you. So maybe you may just cast some pearls of wisdom the direction of the commissioners if you are so inclined. Thank you.
It would become important why this was put in, and where did he get this information from? Because I also don't run away from the point that the chair made. Were they having engagements with other people? How did it come about that this became a pertinent thing? And then talks to the question or the summation by Commissioner Khumalo, is there, so did you say, Commissioner Khumalo, underhand or third hand? I don't know.
A hidden hand.
Sorry, I got both hands wrong. That there is a hidden hand. Because that is an engagement this commission would be fully entitled to have and might arrive
and
at an answer.
By extension, you are suggesting that should it be concluded that there is a hidden hand, you have neither any knowledge of that hand nor are you a part thereof. Is that what you are suggesting?
Correct.
But that potentially your investigator, starting with Mr. Perumal, could potentially be involved in that or have knowledge of that underhand.
And have knowledge of things that we didn't have knowledge of.
It sounds like you are you throwing your investigators under the bus, or am I misreading you?
You're absolutely misreading.
Please help me.
Because we have to work on who was responsible. I've asked a whole lot of them. If the last person there is Perumal, it means Perumal must account. if the issue was it was Mr. Padiachi, I would have indicated Mr. Padiachi has to account, together with myself. And so it's about, Council, we've agreed that if there's items on which I myself do not have direct knowledge, we should make sure that those who have the direct knowledge are at least mentioned to the Commission. I'm saying it is in that light that we'd have to ask Mr. Perumal.
Can I just follow up on that answer? But in fact, it was going to be a follow-up on your answer to the chairperson earlier. But now that you've said it, you must have direct knowledge because you were briefed before you approved this summons. So you're the right person to look to give an explanation on your summons. We're not at the point where we are asking Mr. Perumal what informed him including it in the summons. That's not the discussion we are having. The discussion we are having is why did you approve it in the summons? So you must have had knowledge of what this is about. You said to the chair at the end of your discussion, you said, yeah, Chair, I don't have a reasonable explanation for this as matters stand. I think, speaking for myself, I'm interested in the explanation, reasonable or unreasonable. There is an explanation for this. You must have an explanation for this. So the topic doesn't end at, well, I don't have a reasonable explanation, I see I messed up. You must have an explanation what was going on when you approved this. And it is that explanation that you are not giving us, and it's, in my view, it's not satisfactory an answer. It's not a satisfactory answer for you to say that I must still speak to Perumal, and because he could cook up anything. At this point, I'm not interested in what Mr. Perumal tells you because of what you signed off. I'm interested in why did you sign it off. So that's the first point. And so you haven't yet given us an answer, but I think you do have an explanation, you just have not given it to us. A second point, and I say this, if you want to comment, you can, but I just want to list my concerns. A second point is, having signed off on the summons, which has paragraph 6 in it, your answer, whether to the ad hoc committee or to us, that you were not aware of an investigation into the PKTT in the face of this summons is not correct. It could not have been correct unless you said to us, I signed without reading the summons. And that's not what you have said, right? No. You have told us, I read it and I got a briefing on it. So just from reading, even without a briefing, from reading this which is put before you, you would have known that there is an investigation of the PKTT, even if it is limited to promotions. And even if we said it is limited to promotions, you would have known on the day that you signed this that there is an investigation. And where you represent that, or where you answered that I'm not aware of the PKTT and of an investigation against them, that answer was not correct, as your summons tells us. In fact, I think if I speak frankly, that answer was false when you gave it. And the falsity is evidenced by paragraph 6 of your summons. Do you want to comment? I do have a last direct question that I would like to ask you, but do you have any comment on these two that I'm putting to you?
Commissioner Baloy, I honestly said I was unaware of a PKTT investigation. I understand it's not reconciling with this and why I signed it. I, however, have to take responsibility for having signed this.
let me ask you lastly my direct question. Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to correct you. There's a nuance between you were not aware of a PKTT investigation and there was no PKTT investigation. IDEC was not investigating the PKTT. Just now, you said you were not aware of an investigation. Big difference.
Okay.
Do you agree with me?
I agree. What I wanted to convey when I came back was I checked with the project manager, there is no PKTT investigation. I checked with Mr. Padiachi, there's no PKTT investigation.
But you said...
And I'm also not
Yes.
aware of a PKTT investigation.
Yes. Crucially, you said, when I engaged you, you said, as at the time you signed, there was no
PKTT investigation.
That's a very important distinction.
All right. Thank you. Now my direct question to you. Outside of a briefing by Chief Perumal to do with this summons, out of that, have you held a discussion with anyone from IDEC, civil society, whether it's Mr. O'Sullivan, I'm giving you examples, Mr. O'Sullivan, Ms. Dihas, anyone in civil society, anyone in crime intelligence, anyone in your IDEC unit, have you had any discussion at all about the PKTT and allegations against the PKTT that may have or not to be investigated? Have you had any conversation at all with anybody?
No, Chair.
You haven't. Thank you. Thanks, Mr.
On that score, perhaps I don't immediately have it now, and I'm interested in the response you just gave Commissioner Baloyi. Are you aware of an interview on TV, I don't remember which channel, of Mr. O'Sullivan claiming that on these matters, including the hiring of Brigadier Mkwele, that he had discussions with inter alia IDEC? Are you aware of that interview or that claim by Mr. O'Sullivan? And whether or not you are aware of it, perhaps I'll take it further. Did you have any discussions, you being IDEC, of course, with Mr. O'Sullivan regarding these matters, the investigations that IDEC is conducting, and how it came to conduct them? And if you had any such conversations, can you provide the context?
No, I haven't had conversations.
But is it I personally or IDEC?
I personally. I cannot dispute he might have engaged IDEC staff.
Let me ask,
Sorry.
are you aware whether he has engaged? Let's ask more positively. Are you aware whether Mr. O'Sullivan has had any engagement of any sort with your IDEC people, not you, because you say you haven't, with your IDEC people?
I am aware, Commissioner Baloyi, that he would have had, from time to time, engagements with investigators.
Relating to these matters?
I don't know if it relates to this matter on PKTT or which matter.
The crime intelligence
The crime
matters that
intelligence
arise, that we are dealing with, that we've been dealing with for the many days that you've been there.
Yes, so I'm not aware what he engaged them on, but if he said he met with them, then I have nothing to gainsay it. And so what he would have discussed with them, he would have discussed with them. But I think I did say to the evidence leader that if he had a discussion, the likelihood would have been with Mr. Rapeso.
Why Rapeso?
Because he had been in IPIT for a long time. And I know that Mr. O'Sullivan and IPIT had had a relationship of sorts over the years. So the most familiar person he would have been would have been Mr. Rapesu in terms of this matter. I know he knows other people in IDEC. So we'd have to just check with Mr. Rapesu that whether they had a conversation.
Okay, even accepting that for a moment, who is Mr. O'Sullivan within the law enforcement environment? Why would IDEC be discussing its ongoing investigations with him? And on what basis would that happen? And you suggesting possibly Mr. Rapesu and others, would you consider it appropriate for any one of them to be having this engagement with Mr. O'Sullivan?
It's not an engagement. If they had an engagement, it wouldn't have been about the investigations. It would have been if Mr. O'Sullivan spoke to IDEC investigators purporting to give them information. That would have been the only basis on which he would have had to engage. As can anybody from outside bring information, but not that they've brought the information and you then discuss if there is a relevant investigation pertaining to that matter, that you discuss it with him. You don't discuss it with him or any other outsider. The rule is not different.
So then is it safe to assume that if he had done so, I don't know what discussions you suggest he had with IDEC, then if he's giving information, that information would find itself into a relevant docket?
It should.
And should we land at a place where there is no documentary proof in any docket that there was such an engagement, then how do we explain away those engagements?
If he's had engagements, they would have. If they had engagements with him, it would depend on the value of what came out of them. A lot of the time, it might just be mind over matter and not substance that then didn't have to be dealt with. But if there was substance to it, and if it was in any way able to amplify or corroborate something in the investigation, it would move into the investigation. The investigators would make that assessment, Chair.
So where he claims, if he were to claim that there were meetings with IDEC, that wouldn't be entirely correct. Because once you call it a meeting, you're sort of formalizing the engagement. Would you still accept the possibility of him having meetings, whether at his offices with IDEC or at IDEC's offices? What would your comment to that be? I'm just interested trying to establish the relationship IDEC has with Mr. O'Sullivan based on an interview he once had and engagements I take it the institution he represents, or is a part of, with IDEC. So I thought you might shed some light on that relationship, however formal or informal.
If he met with the investigators, it would have had to have been for information sharing. I can't see what else. Not being part of them, I'm thumb-sucking, which is wrong.
But you haven't had such engagements. But you haven't had such engagements with him on behalf of IDEC.
As the head of IDEC, no.
You say as a head of IDEC, in what capacity have you, as a matter of interest?
We've had engagements with him in the past on other matters when we were in the DSO. The Celebi matter comes to mind, and there were other matters that would have been referred. I'm not sure about the matter against Major General Solly Lazarus, but we have had engagements previously with Mr. O'Sullivan, including that he did serve the ID with a document, and that was as far as the IDEC engagement went.
You sometimes refer to yourself as the ID. Which ID are you talking about now? Not you.
When he served the ID with a document.